afternoon, everybody, with Smoky Mountains Homestead. This video that I'm doing today is going to be about growing herbs. And the one I'm going to start with is oregano. So I got some seeds from Baker Creek Heirloom Seeds, and I'm going to try oregano underneath my lamps. So I could grow them outside, but I thought I wanted a project to do like over the fall and winter, and I want to see how they'll do underneath my lamps. So normally under here I grow like succulents. I do a lot of succulents, and I did a lot over the summer, and they did wonderful. I also bring them under here during the winter months because this is underground, so it naturally stays between 60 and 75 degrees, which is perfect. They do so good. And I also use this room in like the springtime for starts. So I've started like tomato plants, cucumbers, just different things like that that when it's time I can transplant them out into the garden. So it gives me time to start them early, and I love it down here. I can do projects. So we're going to start with oregano, and I don't know how it'll do. I'm hoping it does good. So the first thing that I'm going to do is put them in these flats. And so I have a bunch of flats. I thought about doing them, you could probably do them in the plugs, or you could just fill up a flat, or you could do cups, different things like that. I'm going to start with this plug right here, this plug tray, and I'm just going to fill this up. Okay, so I filled up my plug trays, and then the second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pre-sift my soil. So I just make it really fine, the soil that I'm going to use. I take out a lot of the big clumps and stuff like that, because what you're going to put over this is just a very thin layer of pre-sifted soil over the seeds once you sprinkle them out. Just going to raise my lights up so I can work. I'll just kind of mash it and break up some of the clumps. And then I just continue sifting until I get all the larger pieces out of here. And this is just a little basket strainer I got at the dollar store, but it works so good for like sifting soil. Like when I use this for my succulent soil too. I sift it, and the soil that I buy, the potting mix, and then I mix in sand. They just grow really well. It's also really good for drainage. Okay, so I'm fixing to put my seeds on here. And the first thing that I would like to say, if you all are going to be using grow lights, you want to probably set them on a timer. I don't leave my grow lights on all the time. I put mine on about 14 to 16 hours a day, and then they shut off automatically. So kind of mimicking a good summer day with plenty of light. And 65 to 70 degrees is a good average recommended range for these herbs. And if you're not gonna do a grow light, you can do them inside the house. If you have a good south facing window, southwest facing, in a kitchen window sill or somewhere where it's just got some good bright light, then 6 hours a day at least, minimum is good. Now these seeds are super tiny, as you can see, and I'm just gonna start evenly sprinkling them over the plugs. And I'm going to use one packet for this entire flat, and we'll see how good that did. Now later on, if they are really full, you might want to thin them out a little bit. Sometimes you can get powdery mildew if they've not got enough, aeration. And that might be something you'll want to do. I actually may not use this whole entire packet because I think I got quite a few left. Now I'm going to put the soil over it, the pre-sifted, and then I'm going to water it. And then I'm going to let the soil dry out between waterings because oregano is, it is drought resistant, and that's how I'm going to do under here. Now, one thing to say about oregano is if you're using it, obviously, for cooking, for flavoring, if you're using it in like cold dishes such as salads and stuff like that, then you wouldn't have to dry it. But if you're wanting to like cook with it, like sauces and stuff like that, when you put it in the beginning of your cooking process, it will kind of lose its flavor if it's been cooked too long. So you might want, if you've not dried it, you might want to add it to the, end of your cooking process. But, if you're going to make sauces and things like that, I would recommend drying it and then using it. And that's what I'm going to do. Of course, I know a lot of people who will, just take some of the leaves and put in, while they're cooking. And not, even if they haven't dried it yet. And that's fine too. But I want to experiment with drying it as well. And then grinding it and storing it that way. And it should, store for the whole season. It should be good. Okay. Okay, I'm going to water it really good. And then I'm going to put on my dome. And it's recommended that you put the dome on with the vents closed for a couple days. And then after that, you can leave the dome on for 3 or 4 more days with the vents open. And then you can take the dome off. And I have a fan in my grow room that I put on my plants. It helps strengthen them and, give them some good airflow. So I like to do that. And I recommend doing that. I always do that to my succulents when they're growing under here. Okay, so the oregano is planted and it's just ready to go under the lights. And I have the soil over top of them, the pre-sifted soil. I've watered them and I have the domes on. The domes are going to be on here for a couple days closed, the vents closed, and then 4 more days with the vents open. So after that, you can take the domes off. You just want to monitor the soil. You want to make sure it stays wet. So when it dries out, you can let it come, dry up between waterings. But you want to, water at that point. And they say that the germination on these seeds are 7 to 14 days. So we'll see. We'll follow along, and I will do another video as soon as they sprout. And I also want to let you all know that I use LED lights. A lot of people ask me, what do you use? And I love LED lights because, for one, they're very energy efficient, and they're cool. They don't get hot. I've used fluorescent before. They've grown good under fluorescence, but sometimes I have plants that burn. They do get pretty hot. So these you can put like right over top of the plant. And I have like little pulley systems, so I can easily move them up and down, which is very convenient. I use a higher lumen bulb for these, so they get plenty of light. Like my succulents, they love the light. If you don't have a lot, like a higher lumen bulb, then they may like toilate or stretch. They're not as pretty. So I do like these bulbs, and then I just put these in a shop light. So they work really good. Now, I've not done herbs before, so we'll see how they do. I'm excited to see if they grow good under here. If they do, they'd be perfect. I can use them all fall and winter. And I will update you guys as soon as they sprout. All right, you guys have a great day.